It's Chillmonger. I'm with Wuuren. Recording this video, we're going to talk about Kizazi Moto Generation Fire, except he just noticed something with the shortness of the episodes. The first one will stop and the credits will begin around the 11th minute of the show. So knowing that now, what's your initial reaction?
I'm gonna be honest. It's like a lot to compile in, and because I thought, okay, maybe we're gonna get like 30 minutes, but I was already like, that's. I'm a bit baffled. That's very short for. That's very short. Sorry, I'm
It,
just baffled.
it's everything I was saying before this show came out. And I'm not going to be the downer who's just always negative, negative. There's nice things to be said about this. Like, you'll be wowed by the animation when I hit play because you haven't seen it yet. I've seen it. We're going to watch it together, actually. You've heard me say before that the enemy of representation is quantity. Look, we've got all of this time dedicated and money dedicated to an African project. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. But it's not going to be full episodes. It's going to be shorts, and there's going to be 10 of them. If you ask me, I would prefer 2 1-hour specials as opposed to dividing all that time and attention into 10 projects that are going to be as short as they are. Warren, you think so?
Yeah, I mean that sounds like it should have been a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I'm not wowed when you go to Zimbabwe and then you go to Uganda and you go to all these other places to show how, like, you're not racist because you're including all these guys. And I'm like, you're also not committing to anything. I don't see any fan being attached to a character the same way that they're going to be attached to some of the other popular kids series that are on Disney Plus. I can only compare it to what already exists. Isn't there like a baseball series from Disney Pixar? Isn't there like a Bluey? Isn't there other shows that appear on Disney Plus and are episodic? And that's not what we're getting here. I can't celebrate crumbs. And if you are someone who's like Kizazi Moto Generation Fire, let's get on the bandwagon. I'm looking at you sideways like, you guys are behind something that's not fully it's not full, it's empty. Now there's still positive that can come out of it. Maybe one of these animation studios got to show off their animation styles, their production, and someone picks them up for another project somewhere down the line. So I'm not poo-pooing on that aspect of it. Some of these voice actors, maybe someone's watching and they're like, I need a voice actor who can speak that way, that voice, and they wait for the credits and they go, I'm gonna get that character voice. There's careers can be launched from it, but the shows itself aren't saying much. And what I just said about careers being launched, that can be accomplished with a show that is episodic for 10 weeks also. So what I'm saying, the good things about it can still happen, and we can get, actual shows with actual thought.
maybe they were saying, hey, you're allotted this time, and this is their opportunity, so it's safe. Was it like 24 minutes, 6 minutes of credits? Like maybe they had to, maybe the material wasn't enough, maybe they didn't, I don't know, fleshed it out more. That's a possibility too. And maybe this is their first chance and they don't want to mess it up, so they said, okay, this is safe. So that could be some other. Now, is it the best excuse? No, because we've seen when you take risk, most people, more often than not, most people will be like, you know what, this is something that's propel it more. So before you even, when I saw it on
We're right
Twitter,
here. We're at the
yeah,
beginning. We just the title's playing, and he saw just how short this was gonna be.
yeah, I was like, and then he told me 11 minutes. I was like, well, that's nothing. That's like somebody doing this project on like YouTube, a YouTube channel.
It's a
So
YouTube video, straight up.
yeah,
It's a YouTube project that they got paid for to be on Disney Plus. And they get to claim they're not racist because look, we did Africa. Can't call us racist this year. Then we'll get season 2, and it'll be the same thing where it's disconnected stories that are like, it's gonna be just like Star Wars Visions. The annual look, we're not racist because we get foreign studios to produce our thing, except the foreign studios aren't participating in any canon material. So are you really affording them the same respect that you do with the domestic ones? No, you're not. I see through it. I'm just surprised, bewildered that there's so many people who are going gung ho supportive of this. Okay, guys, sure. Anyways, that's enough chatter. We're going to react to these shows and watch them and then review them like they're shows, like anything else. Let's begin that part of this video. I want to stop there and talk about some of this animation style. they look beautiful, right? Like the faces here are well, the fur on the animals, the hair on people, it looks like thickness. It looks beard on one of the dudes. I'm sorry, I don't remember the names. Everything here looks exquisite. Warren,
I actually like the animation, the way they use it. Kind of reminds me of Spider Verse, but more edged out, clearer, not as painty. The Spider Verse is more painty. I don't know how. I'm sure I'm using a bad term, but you get what I'm trying to say.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I like it so far. I think it's good animation, good vibrant colors. That's what I wanted to use.
Whatever studio this is, bro, I'm not sure how long they took to do this to perform this, but they're worth the money. I hope they're on the radar now and we can execute a new project with these guys. For if even if it doesn't mean furthering this specific story in this world that they've created, where there's like a green kryptonitish, metal, and then there's this droid over here. I don't. Look, it's a story. It may not get furthered. It may be originated from a comic book for all I know, right? I don't know where this is from, but
No
if you
idea.
can't further it, use these guys.
I will say it would appear that they got some inspiration from Wakanda Forever because of the way the patterns I saw on like the cows and patterns on like the ships. Yeah, yeah, you see that pattern. And I think on the lady that was like telling the guy the protocol, you see on her like you see that that pattern show again on both of them. So they had to get some inspiration from Black Panther. It would appear.
It starts with a lot of fighting, a lot of ducking and dodging, cool animation styles, some freezes and slow motion stuff. The names of the characters in Dahura, one of them is KK, and there is that exposition-y speak where someone says, "Oh, is it bring your little brother to work day?" And you go, "Okay, I guess they're siblings." And they kind of have to give us that. Every single one of these shows have siblings and people who got relationships with each other in the form of a family, just so that we can attribute what we know about families because they got a little bit of time left, right? Like they got to get in there and get out, so they got to convince you that this is the relationship between these characters. Okay, what would be your take from this, Warren? The first half of this.
It seems like there's this harvest, these cattle, is something important to their culture and for their way of civilization. That's the what I was trying to get at. And apparently, they're to get to this like status, you have to like have done great things. And I guess the little brother looks up to his big sister because I guess she's a legend in her, you know. Uh,
What's the little brother's name?
uh,
Exactly. No,
I can't.
exactly.
I
His
can't.
name's Indohura.
In the
And
horror.
if we had 10 episodes of this, I bet you would be able to name the
Yeah,
name of this character, right?
all I remember is KK now because of that little, you know.
It's her nickname, and they stopped, and yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't
So
know the name of the basket head. I don't hat. I don't know who that robot is. I don't know. And if I had a longer time with the characters, I would be able to. Which is, I'm harping on the same point at every single pause. It needs continuity. It needs longevity, and it doesn't have that. And that's what's going to be its problem. The show looked good though. They're harvesting these cattle, and there's these they were
blue crystal.
blue
Yeah.
crystals that are interesting to me, and I want to know more about the lore. I want to know about earning those badges because dude only had two. Good voice acting, by the way. Like the man with the beard, man, that was spectacular.
I know it's also the guy with the beard. He had robotic feet, so that makes me wonder if he might have lost it during something. Because the woman, she has regular feet, and he has, you see, he has like from
Hmm.
his kneecaps down, it's robotic. So it makes me wonder. But again, not to harp again. It goes back to like we don't get past things, so we don't know what these people were or anything that happened. Which, yeah,
I'd like to know what happened to the woman's eye also because it's missing. It's blue.
that too, or where these crystals come from. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and I guess they're just wanting to get into this like, oh, these cattle are good for their civilization. We need them. That's all we need to know.
I was surprised to see one of the big animals eat a cow.
That animal or cybernetic thing, I think the cow is still alive because I don't know if you saw, but it was trying to push out of the stomach. When it got like when she did her rope thing. Um, but so I don't know if the cows. I mean, he did get eaten, but I don't know if he's digested yet at this point. Like, yeah, because that's the reason the boy decided to continue like go chasing after it. Which there might have been a bond with him and the little calf too as well. That again we don't know. Yeah, there we go.
The show closes out in a cavern. They hide a lot of their animation skills with darkness, right? So there's some things that didn't need to be animated. I'm just seeing through what it is, okay? Anyway, things look really good. He surprisingly was able to tame the beast, turn it into blue. Uh, the blue kind of like, I don't know, sonic waves communicated with the animal. He is now a herder boy because those badges we mentioned earlier get placed on him. He's part of the crew, but we're not going to call you the super herder spirit boy. We're relax, but come join us. You have a lot to learn. All right, awesome. I want to see where this goes. Wuuren, this show, you like it? This episode, was it cool? Was it bad? Was it, I don't know.
I don't mean to beat on a dead horse, but I wanted to see more fighting between like we see the fight and it's like they did like a Moon Knight where they cut out the whole like interaction of like what happened, like so he tames them, but it's one of those the audience is left to use their imagination. Okay, I guess that's a creative direction, fine, but I just wanted a little bit more. Like I thought maybe there might have been more in the pack of because it looks like a from the drawing it looks like a hyena, but the way they made it look, I get the hyena look. Maybe you don't get the hyena look, but that's what. So there might have been more to a pack. Maybe the what he's using his staff. I'm kind of curious about like what what's special about it. Why did it affect them? And if you notice this with the colors too, you know it's like the blue is for like the cattle, and then the green is like you could say it's earthish, and then the red is like anger or whatever because the wolf or whatever seemed very aggressive and ragey. I did like the interaction between the kid, the brother, and the sister because she's worried, and then she does the smack up the head like, "What are you doing?" Which that's just being a little sister. So I like that. It has potential. It just needs more time, and I hate having to go back to that word time. That's a common theme. So that's all I had to really say.
It's a world without world building.
Pretty much summed it up right there.
The studio was Triggerfish. Okay, Dave Filoni, get on contact with them, add them to your Lucasfilm team of animated stuff. Somebody talk to them. Further this, build this world. Somebody figure it out. Until that day happens, I don't care. Sorry. All of these are going to be produced by Peter Ramsey. He's somebody who was part of the Spider-Verse project. He was part of Mandalorian season 3 also. He directed an episode. So he's the uniting force in all this. I don't even know why I brought that up. It's really got nothing to do with anything. Fuck. How do I do this for episode 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7? Can we just leave it at episode 1 because we're just going to do this 9 different times. It's the same thing. You see a person, he has a family member, there's an exposition-y reason behind why they're the way they are. We just kind of got to accept the reason the world is the way that it is. One of the shows is actually going to explain to us, hey, this was before we were colonized. This is what it's supposed to look like. And there's 2 kind of parallel worlds. Every other thing is just like, okay, that's what's happening underwater. Cool, I accept it. Hey, that's what the name of this entire show. I'm not for it. I'm not a supporter of this. I'm not diehard. I saw a few tweets that were gaining traction. One of them said that to all of you people who are against race swaps and you guys should be solely supporting of this and be behind it. Not if there's a problem with it. And it's 10 episodes of shorts with 11 minutes of material that go nowhere. And that's not what I'm for. I'm for actual progression as opposed to these symbolic things. How could we be racist because we have 10? I'm saying, no, if you would have just done one with hour-long special, I would be for it. I'd be like, ooh, that's cool. 1 hour long special by Triggerfish and kind of explain more about the stuff. But
Well,
and
four episodes. Four episodes, like
that
four or 3 episodes. That's fine. That's like what that would equate because it's six. Uh, wait, it's 10 episodes, 11. So
uh,
about about three episodes. Like
space it
yeah,
out, make people wait for it, have people chat about it in between. You do this with all of the other things. Secret Invasion is happening right now, and there's a week by week kind of water cooler talk about who's really a Skrull, and we're having fun with it. Offer that same sort of reverence to this African studio rather than saying 10 African studios. Look, 10 is more than one, so we're being 10 times more or less racist. Or
ten
more less.
times generous.
Yeah. And I don't see it that way. I see
Nah,
it as you splitting the effectiveness of what this show could be.
no, you're right. Maybe again, when the moment you showed me is 11 minutes. So I'm putting that all together, and it's 10 episodes. That is almost a 2 hours and probably a 5 minute movie or 11. That's a movie. Just make it a movie. Listen. I would take a good movie because you can get an origin story, the plot, everything within a movie, and then maybe after that build the like you said, start building that universe. We get like a movie. Now we got these characters. Now we can delve more to them in an episode. Doing it like this just seems very disjointed.
Disjointed, and it's such a hindrance, a huge handicap if you're talking about a successful project. This wouldn't Toy Story wouldn't have been what Toy Story is if they released it in Disney Plus shorts, where they were like, here, we'll do a toy over here, Buzz Lightyear, we'll do a story about this toy, Woody, and we'll do a story about that just didn't work, and
Yeah,
it's not how it came out.
no, it wouldn't work. So that's my
That's my opinion as well. And if all 10 of these futuristic kind of cool shows that are short, if they all were part, like I mean part of the same world, then this show isn't useless. I would say pick one of these 10. So we got this first episode, which was called Chwezi Highlands. Take that, make that the core. That's the primary character, and everything around in these 9 episodes will be mentioned. They'll talk about the time. You haven't seen it, Warren, so I guess I won't spoil. But they'll talk about each of them. Maybe they'll interact with another character, and maybe we gotta wait for season 2 to see the characters that popped up in episode 9 and 10. Right? There's still more people to interact with. Make this worth something. Build on this, as opposed to just acting like this was an accomplishment, which it wasn't. This was it's like a sample when you go to Costco. It was a demo video game.
it, it was a limited. I don't even know what you do. You even call this a limited series or limited special?
Anthology. Yeah. It was the McRib.
I will continue to watch it. It seems interesting, but a bit of a disappointment still. And I'm just being honest.
Your faculty to care isn't there. It's low. It's like, okay, well, I get invested now, then I'm gonna meet this little girl in the next episode, and the next time I'll see another kid, and the next it's just not there. It's hard to get me to devote to these things that are replaceable. There's a reason I remember the first 151 Pokemon by their names. They were featured heavily. They still get remade and they get different versions of them today. And some of the newer Pokemon are just like, yeah, I guess this is the new fish underwater. Whatever, it's no Magikarp.
Yeah, it's no slow bro.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, what I will say is I like that they are going outside. If you had to look at any positives, they're going outside of to using a different studio, right?
That's all.
That is basically all. And if we're getting this quality from a smaller studio, then could you imagine if given more resources, what they could do? Like that's the possibility. So I guess that's the highlight that I could think
But
of.
that's not what Disney Plus is supposed to. They are supposed to be the ones that when we imagine about when they get, oh, if Disney had their hands on this, that is what Disney just did right now. That's not your position to do. And that's the problem, because
Yeah.
Chillmonger has standards and he can compares it to some of the other Disney Plus shows, that this doesn't match up. Like, there is nothing to compare this to other than Star Wars Visions, which is the same idea. We kind of go to these other foreign guys and we give them money and we say, "Look, we're diverse." I'm saying give them canon, give them what you give the rest.
And even Visions, they're just using they're patching in stories from what has been told already.
Mm-hmm.
So you have basically source material where it's not hard to fill in the blanks, right? Because with Visions, where with this we're getting something completely fresh. Again, I just think that this should have been a movie. Hulu did it with Prey, right? And it worked out. So do that with like other stuff. Okay, it's a movie, lesser budget, but it's just you can only see it on Disney Plus, and it might turn out to be a good movie. You don't have to put it in theaters because then you get more subscriptions, you get other things.
Which is more likely to have T-shirts and merchandise, Prey or one of these 10 shows? I'm saying the merchandise and the selling, the new shoes that got all the characters that we were just introduced to, is more likely to happen with a show who's got longevity, or a movie that's just been one straight hour and a half, than it is for this. You might get the logo for the brand, which is Kizazi Moto Generation Fire. Maybe that'll be on a T-shirt at Target. Maybe.
Or you could get the badge made in a
The bad.
emblem in,
The
in in the middle of the shirt.
Because people do that with other famous shows, where little trinkets that exist in that universe, all of a sudden everyone wants the Pokemon gym badges. They collect things like that, and you could be selling something if you devoted the time to it. Every droid in Star Wars is a new toy possibility, and that's probably not going to happen here with this show. What was the point of it? I'm not, you know, hypnotized by everybody was from Africa, so that's a good thing. I'm not. No, if
The
treat them.
diversity inclusion, that's what it was all about. I can tell from your face. I'm sorry.
The enemy of representation is quantity.
If you're gonna devote these resources to it's there's some sort of direction that's not being fleshed out here because that doesn't make sense to me. That's not what I think of a show. But maybe maybe another thing is I could be wrong. We are considered, like if for people that are gamers, so like we're considered old once we're past our 30s. We're
You don't know
old.
how
So
old I am.
I don't know how old you are, but for me, I'm in my 30s, so I'm considered a corpse. Some may say I'm a relic because I'm in my mid 30s. But maybe because they're like saying, you know what, kids or mid 20s or whatever, they have a short span. Maybe that's why. Maybe they're like, okay, they have a short attention span. Make sure let's just give them what they want. Then maybe they're not for the whole story building
Warren, I
and
don't buy that. I don't
I,
buy that, because this is the only one that they're doing that with. There aren't no other shows about the European studios who get 10 minutes episodes because kids have a short attention span.
I mean, that's true too. I'm not giving excuses. This sounds like this should have been a movie, straight up a Disney Plus only movie,
And we
which is
like it.
fine.
And by the way, we do like it. It's not
Yeah,
the show is bad.
yeah, it's not bad.
It's making us want more. We're like, oh, they created a whole world. A lot of thought went into this. Let's get more. I want to see the family when they go back home. Where do they live? What kind of houses is it? Because I can see how advanced things are. What are the living conditions? How does the transportation? There's a whole ass robot with the sombrero, and we saw its hand kind of leave its body. There's a lot of cool things in here that deserve fleshing out, and they're not getting it.
Yeah, like I said, we don't know. Like going back to what you said, her eye. Why did she? What did she modify it? His legs. What happened? How did the robot get built? Because he got to build a robot. How did he get his personality? There's so many like I'm not saying loopholes, but untold stories.
Yeah.
Now maybe we're being quote unquote too critical, but that's not being because you could sum this all. You can have an easy introduction to all of these people. Probably now, okay. Maybe I'm going ahead of myself, but let's say I was directing this. You had I give it 40 minutes, 39 minutes, 6 minutes for credits. Easily within the first 15, 10 to 15 minutes, you can explain. You could see her, the sister, building the robot. Maybe hunting an animal, something happened to the bigger guy, and he lost, like they mangled his legs or something, and then the little brother is like, because he's still young at this point, like maybe in like a little crate thing. Like you can explain more in 10 minutes, and then we shift over to where we are now. You see how I'm able to break it down? I don't understand what this whole let's bypass. I guess my pet peeve is to bypass introduction into the mid climax.
Kind of. And if they wanted, listen, let me ask another thing. The character Indahura was his name, right? Unless I'm
Yeah.
wrong and I forgot it, but Indahura I thought was his name. Get behind him. I think that they played this one first. This is the first story you guys are gonna watch. Most people are not gonna make it all the way to the 10th episode. That's just how it works, right? I have a YouTube channel. Most people don't stay past the first minute. They leave for every video I've ever done. So that's the thing. People and their ability to leave shows. They put this first because they're the most behind this. It is the best out of all the 10 that I've seen. I want to get behind Indahura, and maybe on Disney Plus, the home screen, you just see Indahura there on the side being like, you should watch this one. This is my favorite. Or just have him be a character that you guys are behind. Make him what you did with Mickey Mouse, basically. It can be done. You can have a host of Disney Plus, and you say that these Kizazi Moto, this Triggerfish studio, they are going to be a huge part of our service. We're going to pay them. We're going to have them voice it. We're going to have a little Indahura walking on your screen at the bottom being like, I love Star Wars. Pixar is where it's at. National Geographic's, this one reminds me of home. Like, he could have a guy be a whole character of the Disney Plus service when you log in. I'm just suggesting things that they're not doing. I'm just trying to show you what it looks like when they're behind you, and they're not behind this. Let's just throw a few dollars at them. The conversions with these American dollars to the African currencies that they're all from is crazy high. So they're barely spending any money on it, and they get to tout that they're this. What's it? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yay, yay, yay. They get to say that to convince a lot of you guys that, and I'm like, what's the long-term benefits from this specific show? Not what's going to happen externally because the director got his name out there. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about what will the show be? What's the legacy of it? Is it Avatar: The Last Airbender, which spawns Legend of Korra, which, you know what I mean? Guys have tattoos of that show. Who's getting a tattoo after this?
Ariel, Mickey, Pluto, Simba. They need to take more risk, Disney, because to me, the older properties are there for a reason, but you can't just keep. How many, like, to me, how many Jungle Books are you going to remake? How many Lion Kings are you going to keep doing? Like, it's only a matter of time where someone's like, I ain't gonna see Jungle Book and Sleeping Beauty 6 times now. I'm 65 at this point. Just take risk with the new characters. That because you're going to find appeal and build upon it. That's it.
Showmonger, like, comment, subscribe. I gotta edit this video, which is at 50 minutes long. But when you receive it, it'll be short. It'll be like 25 or something short like that. We got redundant though. We mentioned a lot of times about the,
Yeah.
yeah, about the short episodes. Okay, end broadcast.